Hello and welcome to Mabinda TV. So for now, I like to look at a bit of Kenyan politics and a bit of Ugandan politics. So in Kenyan politics, I'm asking, will the ODM party split? Will the ODM party split? So right now we have several factions within ODM. We have the Edwin Sifuna-led faction of Kenya moja, of course, you have Babu Owino, Edwin Sifuna, and of course, you have Babu Owino, Edwin Sifuna, and the Young Turks who are opposed to ODM collaborating with the government. Then, on the other hand, you have the party leader, that is Oburu Odinga, going the direction of having a pact with William Ruto. So, will ODM split? Will ODM split? And I think the soul of Raila Odinga is beckoning for unity within ODM. So Raila Odinga is no more. He is no more. So will ODM split? What do you think about that? What do you think about the ODM party? I think ODM party, according to Winnie Odinga, it was founded on a principle of social justice. But then, of course, you have William Ruto saying that he will make sure that ODM does not split. So basically, that's it about ODM, and I think it's very sad indeed for ODM to even attempt to split. I think it's really sad for ODM to split. This is not the time for ODM to split. I think ODM needs to buckle up so that then they can be an inspiration. I think ODM is one of the largest parties, not just in Kenya, but in Africa. It is 20 years old. Of course, the oldest African Liberation Party is the ANC, which was founded as the South African Party ANC, which was founded in 1912. So ODM is 20 years old, and of course, the founder Raila Odinga is deceased. So will ODM really be the party to will ODM be the party to make sure that will ODM manage to hold on? So right now, I think Kenyan politics, of course, the elections are next year, and they say a day in politics is a lifetime. A day in politics is a lifetime, really. But I think ODM, you have Winnie Odinga disagreeing with her uncle, that is Oburu Odinga, on the future of the ODM party. So I think the party needs to find its model. The party must find a way that it can, so that it is not swallowed by UDA. Remember, Ruto now does not see any opponent. His fiercest challenger was Raila Odinga. He beat Raila Odinga by 200,000 votes. And of course, Ruto has lost the Mount Kenya vote, and now we are wondering whether he will lose another set of votes in ODM. So I think ODM, Ruto, realizing that he lost the Mount Kenya vote once, could pick Gladys Wanga as his running mate. Ruto could pick Gladys Wanga as his running mate, but then of course we are going to find out whether that will work out. And I think that's how ODM, that is how Gladys Wanga is traversing the country, hoping to be the running mate to William Ruto next in the next year election. So of course you have the party deputy leader Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir saying that they will demand nothing less than a deputy president position. That is what ODM says. It will demand for nothing other than the deputy president position. So that is ODM that truly wants to be to form government. They've said ODM has been in opposition for so long, so they want ODM to be part of the government. So we'll see on what aspects how ODM shall be able to transition and be a party that can take power. A party, remember, a party is formed with the sole intent of getting power, but ODM has always been in a coalition, in one coalition after the other. In 2007, it had a coalition with Kibaki. Then there came the handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta, and now the broad-based government with William Ruto. So that's ODM. So basically, that's it. And then in neighboring Uganda, Yoweri Museveni has won a seventh term, so will he rule for a life? Will he be a life president? That is Yoweri Museveni. Will he be a life president? So basically, that's Museveni won the election by 71% of the vote, and of course you have the military going after Bobby Wine. So Bobby Wine only got 24% of the vote. I think he performed worse than he got in 2021. So basically, I think ODM right now, I think Bobby Wine is going to be castigated. Remember, the biggest opponent of Bobby Wine is not even Museveni. The biggest opponent of Bobby Wine is Museveni's son, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, who also wants to succeed his father as the president of Uganda. So, of course, I think the tragedy of the African big man dictator is that he has not realized that the essence of a great dancer is in leaving the stage while applause from the crowd is loudest. That is the African big man. He has not realized that the essence of a great dancer is in leaving the stage while applause from the crowd is loudest. They wait to be dragged off stage, but has stopped clapping or even left the auditorium altogether. So I think Museveni, of course, we don't know whether the poll was rigged, but of course Museveni says the poll was free and fair. That's according to Yoweri Museveni. He says the Ugandan election was free and fair. So we'll wait to find out on and see whether the election in Uganda was truly above board in terms of credibility. Of course, US and EU have distanced themselves from the polls. They have said the polls were marked by irregularities, and of course, that Museveni strongman, the heavy hand of the state, was in the polls. So I think really, I think Yoweri Museveni could be a life president, but what is this thing with African presidents wanting to be life presidents? Why don't you just exit power peacefully? When you get power, why is it that African presidents want to rule forever? Why is it that African presidents want to rule forever? What is it? And I think if you're going to rule your people, then by all means be a benevolent dictator. If you are going to take political freedoms away from your people, if you are going to repress your people politically, then what you should be doing is assuring them of economic prosperity. That is what you should be assuring your people of economic prosperity. That's the way you will be sure that is the way that you will be sure that the people will not abandon you. But this aspect of ruling forever by African leaders must stop. There are the better people to rule, and I think the concept of democracy is that you come with your idea, I come with my idea, we debate, we have disagreements, and then we polish up the ideas so that then the people with the best ideas and then come up on top. That's how democracy was meant to be. But this idea that someone just rules forever, someone rules forever is not tenable at all. And this is why I say that if you are going to have dictators in Africa, then let them be benevolent dictators. You have Kenyan president saying Kenya must be like Singapore, which was transformed from third world to first world in a record 25 years. So, of course, that was by Lee Kuan Yew, who was authoritarian, yes, but in exchange for authoritarianism, he enacted bold reforms in economic spheres. So that's how Lee Kuan Yew was able to transition Singapore from a third world country to a first world country. But then, of course, you have presidents. That is, you have presidents you have President William Ruto of Kenya saying Kenya should be like Singapore, but I really don't think that is going to happen anytime soon. And so I say that whatever happens right now in Africa, we need benevolent dictators, if at all we need dictators at all. Of course, it is not known, it is a chicken and egg issue whether economic prosperity leads to sustained democracy, whether sustained democracy leads to economic prosperity. But we need both. We need both economic prosperity and sustained democracy. And to show you how Africa has regressed, really, Africa has regressed such that Africa has regressed such that during the such that during the Mo Ibrahim Leadership Prize, which is offered to an African leader who, during their time in office, ensured that a country prospered economically. So the Mo Ibrahim Prize, that's a $5 million leadership prize, the largest leadership prize in the world. It is awarded by Mo Ibrahim, who made his fortune in the telecom sector. He sold Celtel, now to Zain, now Airtel. He sold his fortune for $5 billion. But then, of course, now he uses part of that money to be able to. He uses part of that money to be able to uh, award this world's largest leadership prize. But of course, the prize has not been awarded for the last 5 years. So basically, that means that there are no credible leaders in Africa. So it has been won by the likes of Joaquim Chissano of Mozambique, the likes of Festus Mogae of Botswana. So basically, there is no African leader who, during their time in office, ensured great economic gains as well as sustained democracy. So Africa is in the space in terms of leadership. Someday, I hope the University of Nairobi student, defending her thesis on how Africa should be managed, I hope that someday they will be. I hope that someday the African big man and the African PhD student defending her thesis on eliminating poverty in Africa, her resolutions will not be null and void because the leadership in Africa will have changed a great deal. So that's what I hope, and I think it should be done. So Africa rises and falls on leadership. That's just it. Africa rises and falls on leadership. Leadership is the single biggest drawback for Africa. Leadership is the single biggest drawback for Africa, and I will hope that Africa institutes various reforms so that Africa can indeed grow to be that shining city on the hill, so that Africa can grow and be so that Africa can grow. And I think when Africa grows, that is the way we will be able to have a sustained democracy. So when we have a sustained democracy, that will lead to economic prosperity. And I think an African dream should encompass and every African earning at least $10,000 per year. It can be done. It's possible. Look at Deng Xiaoping in China. He lifted 500 million Chinese out of poverty. He lifted 500 million Chinese out of poverty. That's how great he was as a leader. And I think uh, if African presidents are able to lift their people out of poverty, I think then that can be done, and that's the way that prosperity can be assured. So that's it for now. Bye for now. Bye for now.